Good morning. Opening the executive session on SB 58. I'm going to, however, recess it for about 5 minutes. We're waiting on a couple more members so that we can have our full complement to move on with this. So we're in recess for 5 more minutes. Okay, at this point, I am reopening the executive session on Senate Bill 58, and I am going to recognize Representative Stone to tell us about the subcommittee's work and the outcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subcommittee met last week and we spoke with several stakeholders. In addition, we took additional testimony, and it was very abundantly clear to both the committee and the stakeholders that we all preferred to go with the SB 58 amendment for 59410 versus going under the 627 8A, which was a mostly unfavorable due to the concerns of use of force by untrained individuals and being exempted. Representative Muse had prepared an amendment that I'll let him speak on.
Okay. At this point, I would recognize Representative Muse to introduce or make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move amendment 2023-1490H.
Second.
Would you like to speak on your amendment, your motion?
I would. I think one of the experiences that sometimes you have with a bill and sometimes with floor amendments too is that you may have the best intentions when you introduce an amendment on the floor, but one of the things that the floor amendment process does not give us the opportunity to do is to go back to stakeholders and to other people who originally supported the bill to find out if they still support the bill with the amendment. So in effect, our subcommittee meeting really became the public hearing on the bill as it came through to us in the House. And I think one of the things that we heard loudly and clearly during the subcommittee meeting from the folks that we were able to question is that there were some huge concerns with the bill, the way that it came over to us, to a point where a lot of the folks who testified in front of us had basically testified in support of the original bill and had actually been involved in drafting the original language, but could no longer support the bill as the Senate amended it. Senator Gray, in his testimony to us, said his number one objective is to get a bill through that better protects healthcare workers, and I think he talked about getting some kind of a bill through is something that's absolutely essential, and I think we agreed, but we also realized that given the objections raised to the bill, which included the fact that it asked it would have allowed healthcare workers to actually restrain individuals until police arrive, which could potentially set medical facilities up for violations of CMS rules, which could jeopardize things like Medicaid and Medicare funding. There were some questions around the broadness of the language. So, for example, would medical personnel be allowed to detain people in places like cafeterias and, let's say, places in a hospital where medical care was not being rendered? So essentially, when we looked at the bill the way that it was originally worded, along with Senator Rosenwald's amendment, we thought that between the two of them, they actually strike a balance between better protecting healthcare workers, but also ensuring that that people who are in mental health crisis, who actually lash out, aren't in a position where they lash out once, they're calmed down, and then they find themselves carted off to a county jail that, as we heard in testimony, really doesn't have much of a capability to treat them. So it sets us up on this cycle where we put mentally ill people in a jail that's where they're not able to be treated. And well, where can they be treated? In a hospital setting. So it's an extraordinarily tough issue to deal with it. But I think the amendment, the way that it stands and the way that it is worded now, actually does deal with the situation in a fair way. And the other thing that it does is it narrowly expands warrantless arrest powers, which I think we're all basically, I think this is an area where I think we're all in agreement. We want to be careful when it comes to expanding this. But what it does do is it does expand it to include um, someone who actually commits a misdemeanor or a violation while in the care of a medical professional on the premises of a residential care or healthcare facility through actual or threatened violence interferes in the provision of healthcare services that a licensed professional has determined to be medically necessary. That's how we narrow it down. So I would urge everybody to please vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stone, would you like to speak to your second?
I would like to simply add, Mr. Chair, that under the amendment, it would maintain the probable cause standard under 59410. And I would concur with Representative Muse's assessment.
Thank you. Representative Rhodes, did you have a question?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to just thank the subcommittee on the work that you guys all did on this. I am certainly in support of the work that you did. And I just have one question that I thought of last night when I should have been sleeping, which was too late to bring it up. But you know how when you go into a store and there appears to be notices everywhere that says, shoplifters, used to say will be prosecuted. Now it says, may be apprehended. Does anybody think that it is necessary? Does this have to be posted anywhere, like in doctors' offices or hospitals, that, there is this new law? And if they do say to somebody, hey, get yourself together, man, does it need to be noticed anywhere? Or are we just okay the way it is?
I would, speaking for myself, I would think that it would behoove the medical facilities to post such a thing. I don't think that we need to make it statutorily mandated, but I'm open to hear discussion on it if anyone's interested. Representative Mannion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we have to remember that they're subject to arrest anyways. This just allows a warrantless arrest to deal with the issue at the scene, as opposed to getting a warrant and arresting them like we've been doing forever. So I don't think a notice is necessary. People know that assault and criminal threatening is a crime. This just allows an arrest at the scene. So
Agreed. Representative Prue.
Well, from not being a police officer, I look at general public. Most of the general public think when there's a police officer there that you can be arrested, right? A lot of people don't know that in some cases they really need to go get a warrant. They're just assuming, oh, I screwed up. Here's the police officer. I'm probably going to jail. So I think that's kind of almost an understood thing, that you muck up, you're gonna end up arrested.
Our friend from the hospitals
Yeah.
is saying that she likes the idea.
Yeah,
So she wants to do it. She will.
I think that it's a tool that the hospitals could use to post at their own discretion to point people to if they start getting unruly. But we don't need to mandate it, I don't think. Any further discussion on the amendment? Representative Sitek.
Mr. Chair, this is for my education and maybe not something we need to discuss here, but present law talks about has committed a misdemeanor or violation. That's not in the, I'm reading from the amendment, but that looks like present law. Can you be arrested for a violation?
On a warrant, yes, currently. Is that, yeah.
or committed in the officer's presence. You can actually arrest someone for a speeding ticket. We don't do it, but it can be done. The law allows it.
It's the way that in New Hampshire, current law is that's how you initiate a criminal complaint, is through an arrest or a warrant. So this, right. Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, I would ask clerk to call the roll on the amendment.
Vice Chair Rhodes,
Yes.
Representative Wallace, Representative Sitek, Representative Prue,
Yes.
Representative Moffett,
Yes.
Representative Mannion,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Stone,
Yes.
Representative Tenzar,
Yes.
Representative Gathright,
Yes.
Representative Muse,
Yes.
Representative Brennan,
Yes.
Representative Sue Newman,
Yes.
Representative Schultz,
Yes.
Representative Ray Newman.
Yes.
The clerk votes yes. Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Salig,
Yes.
Representative Wheeler,
Aye.
Chairman Roy,
Chair votes yes.
20-0.
The amendment is adopted by a vote of 20-0 and open for further motions. I recognize Representative Muse for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ought to pass on SB 58 as amended.
Second.
Moved by Representative Muse, seconded by Representative Stone. Any further discussion? I don't think we need any. Very good. I just want to thank the subcommittee for all their work. This was a very difficult knot to untie when it got here from the Senate, and I think you guys did an admirable job of doing so. So with that, I will ask the clerk to call the roll on ought to pass as amended.
Vice Chair Rhodes,
Yes.
Representative Wallace,
Yes.
Representative Sytek, Representative Prue,
Yes.
Representative Moffett,
Yes.
Representative Mannion,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Stone,
Yes.
Representative Tenzar,
Yes.
Representative Gathright, Representative Muse,
Yes.
Representative Brennan,
Yes.
Representative Sue Newman,
Yes.
Representative Chris Schultz,
Yes.
Representative Ray Newman.
Yes.
The clerk votes yes. Representative Newell,
Yes.
Representative Salig,
Yes.
Representative Wheeler,
Aye.
Chairman Roy,
Chair votes yes.
20-0.
The bill is passed by the committee on a 20-0. And I hereby close the executive, any objection to consent? No, it'll be on consent. I close the executive session on SB 58. For the committee, this was our last bill. We are done.
Said that twice.
I know, I lied twice, but this time I really mean it. This was our last bill. The speaker's going to allow us to work on some retained bills in June if we want to. I'm going to speak for everyone and say we don't want to. I could have us all come back to organize for subcommittees, or I could just make them and send them out in an email. What does everybody want to do? Do you want to come back in June to talk about subcommittees, or would you rather just have me do it?
Could you just send us a list of the various things, and also maybe we could submit like vacation times we're not
Well,
available to make it work?
There'll be no work in July or August. So the subcommittee work would not start until September. As far as lists, we have 10 bills, so I can't really take requests. So I'm going to just assign everybody as I think is best for their speciality.
It might be a good idea that, because we do have quite a few, there might be something of particular interest that somebody would like to work on. Maybe it would be
Yeah.
a bad idea to come up to meet.
If anyone's interested, we could come back and meet, or you could just email me if you have a particular interest in one of our retained bills.
I would think sending out a list of what the bills are so we know which ones are retained, and then if we have something that we find special.
All right, that's what I'll do. I'll send out a list this afternoon of all the retained bills. And if you have a particular interest, I'll try to accommodate that. If not, tough cookies. And then you guys can start working on those. The chairs can contact them and schedule dates in September to start working on them. They have to be back by the end of end of October. I would prefer if you got them all done in September, and then we wouldn't have a stress to get them done. All right. It's been a pleasure working with all of you, and I'll see you next time.
What's your note?